Good day, everyone, and welcome to the Grumpy Old Gamers podcast. You can't teach an old gamer new tricks. I'm Ryan, and with me is my good friend Rob, and there's a third with us today. We have a special guest with us, Chris Chipman. He's from he's got a few podcasts he's part of, so he's from Shooting the Shit.
Thanks, Ryan.
Yeah,
Thanks.
I put a little pause there. I put a little pause there so you can bleep that.
I take it you're not the editor.
Talkbuster is another one of his podcasts, Creating Geeks, and the Chipman Brothers Tangent podcast.
Yes.
Welcome, Chris.
Hey, guys. Thank you so much for having me. And even though, I was afraid that you'd be angry because I stole your name, didn't mean to. But for those that have never heard of me before, welcome. I'm so happy to be reaching out to new people and to hopefully help you guys reach out to some people on my end too. I did a panel at PAX East and used your name, and I didn't mean to. And I want to make sure people know that, we both exist separately and are awesome. And also just have a good time. Funny thing about the shooting the my friend in Nash at work loves my shows. And when I started that one, he's like, Chris, why did you do this? And I was like, what? And he goes, you used a bad word in the name of one of your shows. I said, we use bad words in my shows all the time. He goes, Chris, says, my wife and I share a computer, and I'm very religious. So I had to tell her the name of that show was Shooting the Breeze. And I was like, all right. So actually, when I had to do a Facebook ad, I made a different version of it because Facebook wouldn't allow my ad to run that said Shooting the Breeze. And I just thought it was a funny play on words. It didn't know it would get me in trouble. But anyway, thank you guys so much for having me on.
Yeah, we recorded on your show last week and had a blast, and
yeah.
We were eagerly awaiting this episode. So, other housekeeping, it's Easter long weekend. Got a 4-day long weekend, so I'm super stoked about that, and I'm not on call, so that's always that's always a bonus. Yeah, so you know what? We're just going to move right along here. We're going to head right into news. And first thing on the docket is Saints Row. They've announced, or Saints Row the Third has announced a remaster coming to PS4, Xbox, and PC. So I know they've been pumping these remasters out, but I don't know. I haven't even tried one of these. So is it like a GTA style game, or?
It is. So Saints Row is like, you know how GTA, when they got into the online version of GTA, it became, very fan-sourced and people could just be as goofy and as crazy and over the top with character creation, everything as they wanted.
Yeah.
But GTA itself in the main game, even though it was over the top, if you played the game as a narrative, it was kind of still real-world rules, like, kind of moving into Fast and the Furious territory, but more like Scarface, in a video game land. Saints Row just kind of said, you know what, this is fantasy and insane and bug nuts the whole time.
Okay.
So Saints Row was just goofy from the start. And that's kind of the difference between the two. Other than that, it basically is just Grand Theft Auto. It's Grand Theft Auto by way of just admitting that it's a video game. I think it's even pretty fourth wall breaking, if I recall, in acknowledging that it's a video game when you play it. Kind of like Grand Theft Auto by way of Deadpool would be the way that
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, that's awesome. I mean, I've watched the trailers for it, and it does look like crazy. So it's
very silly.
I've been eyeing that the second one on the Switch there. Every time it comes up on sale, I'm like, do I pull the trigger on that, or haven't yet?
Does it seem just a bit early? Like, this was on the PS3 and the Xbox 360 originally, right? Does it seem like, I know they're doing a lot of remasters, but are they getting to the point where it was already a high-def game already? Like, how much more...
right, how much more can it be remastered?
Yeah, should they give it a couple generations before they can do a remaster? Or is this just kind of like, hey, we're going to re-release a game, charge $80 and just make a bunch of easy money? Because people will buy this again. They see remaster, they see Saints Row, it's going to do well. But
I mean, we all bought Super Mario AllStars, right?
It's
Oh,
That's a good point. That's a good point.
Yeah, you know what? I have Mario Brothers 1, 2, and 3 bought on like so many Nintendo systems. Like pretty much every chance I have to buy it. It's like some weird compulsion. I'm like,
Yeah.
I may want to play this on my 3DS or
Skyrim on 12 different systems.
Yeah.
Of course. And Skyrim, it's one of those things where it's like, I'm just getting this because I can.
Yeah.
I need it.
There's a lot of games like that for the Switch where it's like it's not necessarily the best version of it. Usually it isn't, but the ability to be able to play it in your hands is just like, I've got to see this. Because
when I picked up and played Skyrim unlocked and like got like a half an hour in and went, am I really doing this right now?
Yeah, you bet.
Because they went. I mean, it seemed like it went from. Now, granted, the Wii U, had that handheld component that was great. I won't take that away from it, but it seems like we went from the 3DS to you have an Xbox 360 in your hands.
Yeah, you bet.
Yeah. Like it's just like, wait a minute, what? When did this happen?
That's right.
Well, speaking of Switch, it's a great segue into our next story. Disco Elysium has announced that they're going to be releasing it on the Switch. And man, I really can't wait to play this game. I know it's coming to the PS4 and Xbox One as well. And I mean, I could have maybe pulled the trigger on PC. I don't know. Like, I don't think it's a graphical powerhouse, so I think I would have been all right. But yeah, I'm definitely going to pick it up on Switch.
Yeah, I'm actually looking at it for the first time. I've heard a ton about it, and this is the first time I'm looking at it, and it looks way up my alley.
Yeah. I mean,
basically, it came out of nowhere too. Like when it dropped, everyone was just like, "Where'd this game come from? And why did we not hear about it?" And it's.
You know what I think we need a current gen version of?
What's that?
Not a remaster, but just a brand new game. Jet Grind Radio.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Hells yeah.
No kidding. No kidding.
Yeah. If you want to lick a psychedelic toad and play a video game, let's go.
Man, when my buddy had the Dreamcast and he got that.
Yeah.
When that game came right out, and oh man, that was one of those ones we'd put it in at like 9 p.m. and then like next thing we know the sun's coming up. It's like,
exactly.
It was ridiculous.
For some reason you're on the rooftops fighting like an alien octopus and you don't know what happened.
And taking a very, taking an interest in tagging everything too. You're going to buy spray paint and
Yep.
I all of a sudden have a strange need to wear earphones not connected to anything and rollerblade a lot.
Yeah.
They could get Beats by Dr. Dre to
there you go.
To working in. There you go.
Yeah.
Money.
So the PS5 announced their controller this week, the Dual Sense, and as expected, it was kind of met with ridicule. There's some great memes out there where people were photoshopping pictures into it. My favorite one was one of the rebels from Star Wars. They made it into his helmet, like from the opening of the movie, the white helmet.
Oh, the stormtroopers, yeah, you bet.
No, the rebel one.
Oh no, I guess, yeah. All right, yeah, I see it.
Where they looked like they had the colander on their head, yeah. So they showed a guy like with that. But I mean, it's an impressive looking controller, like, and when you read what it can do, man, oh man, like, it's going to be a thing. It really is going to be a thing.
No, the layout's awesome, and it's amazing to see. I think when we've talked before, controllers are an incredibly weird thing, right? And Sony kind of created the next generation of intuitive controller design. So to see them even take a tiny bit of a departure from that, it's still a Sony controller. There's no way around it. I mean, it's going to feel great to hold. You can already tell. But it's a lot more shaped like an Xbox controller.
Yes. Yeah, it really is. It really is.
And it's interesting, just with the analog sticks in the Sony locations.
Yeah. I like how they... Oh,
sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I like that they actually put a mic into this one.
Yes, I agree with that.
That seems to be something that should have been a while ago already. But that should have been this current gen. I mean, kind of forcing everybody to still buy headsets to plug into your controller. You know, I don't know. I mean,
it does kind of look like though the Wii kind of tried to infect a Sony controller.
ooh,
Yep.
yeah.
It has that like the color palette.
Yeah.
But speaking of that, as a quick aside, just because you bring up the microphone, did any of you guys ever play for the Wii Silent Hill Shattered Memories?
No.
I had no idea there was a Silent Hill game
Okay.
until you just mentioned it.
So I hate to take an aside, just the controller made me think of it. But you know how the Wii had a microphone, a speaker built into it?
Yeah.
So in this game, they basically remade, and I'm going to say a very loose remake of Silent Hill 1, in that you're a guy and you lose your daughter. After that, the game is a complete departure from any of the other Silent Hill games. It kind of exists on its own. But you're basically, you play the game as this guy looking for his daughter, and then every segment of the game, you're being psychologically evaluated by a psychiatrist, but you don't get to see who it is. And that's kind of the reveal, the twist at the end of the game, and who has been in the psychiatrist chair the whole time. I won't blow it, because I really think this game, it's a short game, and it's really worth playing or watching a Let's Play, because it's the best of Silent Hill. It's less violent and more just creepy than the games often were. But what they did is, because it was on the Wii remote became your flashlight. So so you'd look around, and depending on what you looked at and how you interacted with things, your psych evaluation at the end of the game changed, which was really cool. But something you could do is you'd have to make phone calls in the game to get information. So your Wii remote ends up being your cell phone. So a cell phone thing comes up on the screen and you dial a number, and then you have to hold it up and actually hear the phone call through the remote. Well, if you look in the Konami strategy guide that came with, or the instructions, this is for Konami support. If you read it, it's a phone number from in the game. It doesn't have an area code. And if you call it, a lady comes up and goes, "Thank you for calling Konami customer support. Do you have any questions about the game that you've bought?" And then she waits a minute like you're going to say something and goes, "I'm sorry, we've noticed with GPS global positioning system that you're in Silent Hill. There's no helping you." Click. Are you just like, wait a minute, what? And that just blew me away that they did that.
That is unreal.
But yeah, that game, 100%, if you've never heard of it, it also released in the PS2. But it had to be played on the Wii. It was just a perfect use of those motion controls.
I've seen it. I've seen it posted on local sales boards, and it's like one of those $120 games.
Yeah,
it's a rarity. So
okay.
Yeah.
No, you have a Wii? You have a Wii?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You bet.
Okay. I wonder how much it would cost for me to mail a Wii game. Are we the same region?
Oh yeah, NTSC.
We'll talk about that offline. Maybe you can borrow it, because I've beat it like 6 times.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
It's fantastic. But I'm Noah. So yeah. Sorry for that quick aside. But
no.
The other thing that I really liked is Silent Hill was never known for having the best combat.
Oh yeah.
And even though the combat's fun and intense, it's clunky. And that was kind of the point of it. This game forgoes the combat, and when it changes into the Silent Hill world, you just have to run and hide. And so you have to get from point A to point B and not get attacked. So you can like go and hide in a locker, and you can use the motion controls to toss like barrels behind you to get in the way of the stuff that's chasing you. It's just insane. And I don't know why they never made another one, because it was such a departure. And this is what the PlayStation 5 controller makes me think of.
Excellent. Yeah, it's
So just from looking at the picture, I mean, they only released this one picture, like that's a top-down view.
Yep.
The buttons on the right are raised, right?
Looks like it.
I kind of wondered if they were.
Oh, I guess there's this one side picture they are raised a bit. Okay.
They're raised
Never
a bit,
mind.
Okay.
Because that front down.
Oh yeah. It's a bad picture, and supposedly you can get an all black controller as well, but they chose this one to be the one they show, which is really weird.
So I wonder if
the side view, the ISO view, looks really cool.
Yeah, Yeah.
Yeah. The so I wonder if they went with this, if they're really going to depart, and when they finally reveal the PS5 you can buy, if it's going to be white.
Oh.
Do you remember the white PS2
Yes.
when they
Yes.
did
Yeah.
that looked
The
really cool.
Glacier. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
It's a
So
sick looking controller, actually. I wonder what that little thing in the center is for. Like,
in
why is the controller extra tall? Like, what's that for?
like which part?
The little like HUD above the. It looks like there should be a screen.
Well, I wonder if that's going to be like the
That'll be the
sensitive
touchpad
one.
again.
Yeah.
That'll be the touch.
That's cool. Okay, that makes sense. It's just it's
Yeah.
very ergonomic and cool.
Yes.
It looks
Yeah.
like it's floating.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. And it always ends up being like a giant map button because no
Yeah.
one used it on the PS4 either, or very few people did, I guess.
Yeah,
But
it's always your map button. All right. So some news came out this week that made me so freaking happy. So freaking happy. Another free update to No Man's Sky. So I had taken a little break. Probably I haven't played it in almost 2 months because I put 160 hours into it and then decided I should probably play some other stuff. So I picked it up again yesterday, and yeah, I didn't have enough money to build my mech yet, but I'm working on it, and the muscle memory is just finally coming back after an hour or two of the controls. So yeah,
This looks cool.
yeah. I didn't jump into No Man's Sky until after the big 2.0 update, so I didn't get all the jank before that, but I just fell in love with this game like you wouldn't believe.
It looks amazing. I've never played it. I the only current gen system I have is a Switch, so I've only lived vicariously through others. But wow.
So I also, Rob, even today, because it was such a special occasion, I broke out the VR headset for it.
Yeah.
You can play this in VR too. So played an hour or so in VR, and yeah, I'm so happy about it. I can't wait to play some more.
the game's got to be. Sorry, go ahead, Chris.
No, the Exomechs just look incredible. I'm just gushing over the link here. You can go. I'm sorry.
Oh, no worries. I was going to say this has got it. No Man's Sky has to be the biggest redemption story in video games for going from biggest disappointment to totally redeeming themselves to consistently bringing out new content for free. And it's gone from being a laughing stock to a game that everyone speaks highly about, and it's really cool to see. And the fact that they didn't charge people for all these updates to get it to where it was going to go as well. You know, they're still rewarding people who paid it. Gives me hope that Anthem might eventually do that. But
yeah, we're waiting.
Yeah.
They say it's happening.
I hope so. They
say it's happening. Yeah. So No Man's Sky, like I look at it as kind of like the adult version of Minecraft. Like I just spend my time, I go from planet to planet building little bases, and then I, collect a bunch of resources. Yeah, it's a puttering game for me. Like there is a story, and I don't play the story. I just explore.
Did you guys ever play talking about, going from taking a game and what you think you could do with it versus the future we're living in now, where you can have a game like No Man's Sky where you just said, I just putter from planet to planet building stuff. Do you remember Colony Wars on the PlayStation 1?
It was PlayStation 1. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
The game that, like, basically it was a shooter. It was a space shooter.
Yeah, like a Wing Commander kind of shooting, right?
Yeah, and I loved it. And then the sequels had a thing where you could be in space and just go, I want to go to that planet. And the game literally, you could fly for, 45 minutes and go into the atmosphere and land on that planet. And it's just
awesome.
On PlayStation 1. Like, I don't know how they pushed that out of that system.
That's crazy.
You couldn't really do anything. It's just like, they were like, you can do it. Like, it had nothing to do with the level you were playing, but it was still really cool.
Do you remember, speaking of that, like a game called Star Control 2?
Yes.
Yeah, I remember just going in hyperspace and just going for like 15 minutes, and then you're across the galaxy, and like you said, land on planets, and mine, and like it was just completely open world as long as you had fuel to get there, right? And I always wish that game got a better sequel too, but now, yeah, that's neither here nor there, I guess. But yeah, it's cool. It's cool to see that.
All right, moving right along here.
I derailed that. I apologize. That's
no. Hey, that's what we're all about, man. You know that. Talking to me, you're going to talk about 10 different things besides what we're supposed to be talking about. So.
Yes.
So the Lego Super Mario sets, the one set went on pre-sale this week.
Is that you about getting ready to buy it, or?
No, hang for 1 second. I hear a scream from the other room. I'll be right back.
Sure. Okay. You bet.
As you were saying, Mario.
Yeah. So the Mario set, the one Mario set went on pre-order this week, and so we're just talking. So looking at the box here, Rob, I think the eyes do move as well. So the chest and the eyes do stuff.
Yeah, they do. It looks so cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And then there's these two other sets that are in the article here. They'll go live for pre-order in August. But yeah, like, so that's $60 American. So Canadian, that's what,
$18,000.
Yeah, $300.
That'd be honestly, it'd be about 95. That should be.
Yeah,
I think it's seven to.
Man, oh man,
10, yeah.
I still want to know.
Outside of the fact that Lego can get away with just charging astronomical prices for everything they make, which is how I feel because I love Lego. If I gave a turnaround in the room here, you'd see I've got the Ghostbusters firehouse and the Disney castle and awesome. the Saturn V rocket. Now, I'm a Lego guy. I mean, the shirt, right? This is the patent. That's the patent. I'm out of my mind. But what I love, a lot of like hardcore Lego fans, were, well, what? This is stupid. This is a kid's thing. And I'm like, dude, like, it's Mario. Yeah. If you have a Mario Lego set, I don't care how old you are. It's going to be like Spaceballs. No, sir, I didn't see you playing with your dolls again. I'm going to take Mario and make him jump through the damn Mario thing. Like, that's what I'm going to do. And so the fact that they said, you know what, we're gonna make new tech. If it's Nintendo and Lego teaming together, we're gonna make something new and different. So when you play with it, it's actually gonna interact. I think is a super cool idea.
Absolutely. So it's Labo all over again.
Oh, I love Labo so much.
Like, the adult going, that's dumb. That's a kid's thing. But I'm definitely going to play it.
I'm definitely going to play it, though, yeah.
Also, I also wanted to mention that Rob's actually such a big Lego fan that he changed his last name, too.
It's true. Lego made my life a living hell in school. That's...
Did I tell you on the last show, I think it was either you guys or someone else, did I tell you that I worked with a guy named Ronald McDonald?
Oh, man.
Did I tell you guys this?
No.
Oh, so he went by Frank. His name was Ronald Francis McDonald, and he went by Frank, and I had no idea his name was Ronald until I saw, like an official thing at the company, and I go, hey, he goes, I was born 2 years before Ronald McDonald was introduced.
Oh.
And I'm like, oh. He said, but he made it fun. He basically said that, if I wrote a term paper in an economics class, it would be about McDonald's. So I'd find a way to work it in, so by Ronald McDonald, just to get a laugh out of people. And he said that part of the reason why he ended up getting all the certifications and stuff, he became like a collector of certifications. Like he'd go, oh, I'll get, this one while I work at this company. So it could say these certifications belong to Ronald McDonald.
Wasn't there that great commercial by Burger King when they were doing breakfast? And it was all the people saying... that they loved their breakfast more than McDonald's, and there was all people named Ronald McDonald, in the commercial.
Yep.
That's great. Yeah, all over the place today, folks.
Yeah,
that's what you get with me.
Yeah,
I hope it's not disappointing.
Oh no,
no, not at all. This is good TV right here.
It's like a Robin Williams joke. It just keeps circling back on itself.
Yeah,
you bet.
So, Google Stadia offering 2 free months to everyone to try.
Yep.
What's your view on the old Stadia there, Chris?
So, I mean, I love the idea of people trying to make their own thing. You know, the Google Stadia seemed like it was going to be a great thing. I like the idea of Google getting into video games because Google controls everything else. So they're either going to become a developer or they're going to make their own thing. But I don't know. I mean, is that going to be the way of the world? My brother and I talked about this. Is it going to be at some point that all of these companies are just going to work through some HUD instead of having their own console? Is it going to be that it's no longer going to be the Sony PlayStation? It's going to be the Google Sony Blu-ray player slash, you know, online web store, you know, and maybe this is the way they get there. Maybe this quarantine is Google's leg up. You know, I don't know. But I haven't played a Stadia myself, but I know some people that have, and they said that when it works very well.
Oh yeah.
Yep. I'm actually I'm a founder here myself, so I got
that's awesome.
The pack there, and I was super excited. And that's the best way to describe it, is that when it works really well.
Mm-hmm.
But there are just a series of gotchas and a series of things like, why is this not working? Like, the ability to stream it is great, and it's great for people who don't have powerful computers. But why does it not work on 80% of the Android devices? Why does it not work on iOS yet? Why does it not? Like, these are all things that, like, man, if they'd launched with this. But I think you're bang on about the 2 months free. Like, this is the time now. Like, if you're going to make another run at it, because otherwise Xbox is going to eat your lunch when they launch that xCloud.
Mm-hmm.
And GeForce Now is already doing it, or they're already making a good run at it. This is the time to say, look, everyone get 2 months, try it out, and because they've got some good games in there now. Like, you get, I think there's like 10 or 12 free ones that are in the Stadia Pro level right now that you can play for free just by signing up for this. It's
cool.
Some great games. The latency they got, even from the beginning, the latency problems it wasn't too bad. Probably shouldn't have said 4K 60 FPS, because that was never true.
Oh no.
Yeah, like and to most of us, like, honestly, it's not a big deal, because if you could have done 1080p at 60 frames a second, most people would be like, cool, that's great. But when they go and say, nope, we're going to have HDR working, we're going to have 4K, it's going to look just like you're playing on an Xbox One X. No, it never looks like that. But it looks good at what it does. So hopefully they get it all working here and get some sort of a fan base. What about you, Ryan? Did you end up signing for your 2 months there? Or?
I didn't re-sign up yet, but seriously, Chris, while this is on, like, you're on a laptop right now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, seriously, just load it up on there and see what it can do. It's kind of mind-blowing.
No, I kind of want to, because I have a Surface, so it's not a not powerful laptop.
Yeah.
But I remember my laptop can play the new Resident Evil 2 kind of well.
Okay.
But my buddy at work was like, "Oh, I have a GeForce Live or whatever it's called account. Let me show you." And he logged in and then turned Resident Evil up to like top, and I went,
yeah,
my little computer can do this. He goes, it's not your computer doing it.
Yeah.
I go, I don't care. My little computer can do this.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a weird time, man. Like, it's, yeah. I mean, I was playing Destiny 2 on my PC here, and like, it's a 7-year-old PC, so it's not current by any means, and it ran smooth. It looked unreal. Like,
you're running that through Stadia?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yes. And is that one of the games you can play for free in Stadia right now?
Yeah.
Because I like that game.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of the it was one of the like free launch titles, so yeah. Yeah, man. And I'm pretty sure if you've played it elsewhere, one of the things of Destiny is that your account loads up everywhere, wherever you log into it. So if you've played it on something, all that stuff carries over.
This is the benefit. I had forgotten that Steam launched with Half-Life 2. And so I loaded a Steam account to get the Jackbox thing in Resident Evil 2 on here. And I went, and it goes, hey, by the way, you haven't played Half-Life 2 in 12 years. But your game is saved, and guess what? In that time period, all this other content comes with Half-Life 2 now. And I went, oh, so now I have all the Counter-Strike games and all this other stuff. And I'm like,
Nice.
cool.
Right, right.
Because you had to wait so long for Half-Life 2.
Yep.
Oh.
So this next story I shared just for you, Rob.
Oh.
Obsidian's new game Grounded, where you're shrunken children in a backyard and you got to make it from one end to the other.
Arachnophobia mode.
Yeah, it's going to have arachnophobia mode. They're not saying what they're going to replace the spiders with yet, but I laughed when it's like they're like maybe it'll be snakes, clowns, or public speaking.
There you go.
Oh man, it's gonna be public speaking. It's like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, the game.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. It looks pretty cool.
It looks
so
really...
did either of you gentlemen know that Disney World in Florida, for about 8 years after Honey, I Shrunk the Kids came out, so that was like what, 1989, had a Honey, I Shrunk the Kids experience.
Oh,
and it was just a kid's
heard
playground, but built to look like you were tiny in someone's backyard.
Yeah.
Like there was a slide, there was a Kodak film container with the film coming down. It's not there anymore, but I went and it was so cool. They had the giant Legos you could climb up in, and
nice.
It was so cool.
Yeah, it looks great. I like. Obsidian did a great job with. Oh my God, Trainwreck, gone. Name of Outer Worlds.
Outer Worlds, yeah, a little known game. Outer Worlds, yeah,
little known game called Outer Worlds.
Yeah, no one plays it. So
yep.
I get these derailments all the time, man. It's horrible. It's horrible getting old.
So the reason Ryan mentioned about the arachnophobia and mentioning to me is because I'm notorious for freaking out over spiders in video games. I don't mind them in real life, but I don't have any bug. But in video games, they're the worst enemy. And
the Shelob level in one of the Lord of the Rings games that came out after the movie messed me up, and I don't have a spider problem, and I couldn't make it. It was the noise. It was like, the bugs in the Dark Crystal make that like.
Yes.
The game had that, and I'm like, nope, I can't do it. I can't. I'm done. We're not doing this.
Fun stuff.
Yeah.
So Overwatch next week, they're adding a new character, and they're adjusting their hero pools for ranked play. So that's big news for people. I haven't played Overwatch in a little bit, but it was fun when I played it.
Yeah, I've never played Overwatch.
Yeah, it's really good if you like a good first-person shooter.
Oh, I do. One of the jokes when Bob and I put our panel together was we showed a clip of Overwatch, Anthem, and Destiny, and said, we don't know which one is which. Just as a joke, and got a raucous explosion from the crowd.
Yep.
Yeah, all these one-word names, it's like, okay.
Yep.
And it's funny because after at least two of those I've played now, and I get why they're different. But just visually, it's like, which one is this?
Yeah. Apparently the port on the Switch is excellent if you see it available.
For which game?
Overwatch.
There's an Overwatch port on the Switch?
Yes, sir.
Oh.
Yeah.
Dude, when I got the port of Doom, not Doom Eternal, but the 2016 Doom, I think it was, on the Switch, that game, I have never seen a Nintendo console make a more I'm like, it looks so good. How is this Nintendo?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
It does. It looks really good.
That was a fantastic game, by the way.
Yeah, a couple episodes ago we were talking about that. I got it for the Switch, and I don't know, I bounced off it hard. Like I put an hour. Yeah, on the Switch, yeah. But then with Doom Eternal coming up, and I saw it was on Game Pass, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna take another run at this. People love it. Had to have been missing something, and yeah, I must have just been in the mood that day or something. Because yeah, I put a bunch of hours in on the Xbox there, and yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, Doom. Until going back and playing that Doom game, I hadn't realized how much the Doom series had been influenced back onto itself from Metroid Prime.
Oh yeah.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So, you know, because Doom was always ahead of its time. I mean, it was kind of the Half-Life approach, right? There's puzzles and there's things. It's not just run around and shoot. And so to see when I booted this game up, I was like, this is like playing a Metroid Prime game. I didn't realize Doom and Metroid Prime had so much in common.
Yeah.
You know?
Now that you mention it, yeah, I totally didn't even think about that. Also, right before Doom Eternal came out on the Switch there, Doom 1, 2, and 3, I bought all three of them for like $8. Like
now we need Quake. We need Quake 3. And I'll be so happy.
There you go.
Quake 3, the very first online video game I ever played was Quake 3, logging in through my dial-up modem on my Dreamcast.
Ooh.
And I was and people talk about cross-console play. Sega was the first one you could play against people on the PC.
Oh,
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Interesting.
It was terrible.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
but I was still playing against people playing on the PC.
Yeah.
right. Huh. Yeah.
The Dreamcast making they did firsts of so many things.
Yeah,
really
first but not best of so many things.
And there was the problem.
We did it so you didn't have to.
That's right. They worked everything else out.
Seaman.
Oh, that game's a running joke. Oh man.
Did you see in the panel with Bob where I brought that up? And this was not like a bit. Bob just stops and goes, we did it because we just get along so well, play off each other. He goes, Chris, I thought you told me Seaman was a dream. And I was like, guys, stop telling Bob Seaman is real. No, Bob, what did we say? No, it never existed. It can't hurt you, Bob.
Yep. Oh yeah, they're just the freakiest looking abominations. That's oh man.
Awesome.
Good job.
So Beat Saber. Have you had a chance to play Beat Saber, Chris?
It's the old so I've only played 2 VR games in my life.
Okay.
And Beat Saber was one of them, and I'm a rhythm game freak, and I love it. So my buddy Jim, he works for a local cable access multimedia television place. And so he came over to a party back when, we were allowed to all be in the same house together.
The good old days.
Yeah. And he brought it in and he goes, Chris, I have an Oculus. And I was like, oh, all right. Yeah. I've never played a VR game. This will be fun. I mean, I've played like the arcade versions of VR games.
Yeah.
I haven't played them in a long time. And I'm like, oh, this will be great. And so he set up the demo. He put a plank in the middle of the floor, which is, I guess, one of the demo games. It's called Plank. And it can be a plank of any size. This is what I thought. This is when, like, there's something about VR when you interact with a real thing that then they put into the VR game. I don't know if you guys have done this yet, but you take the controller in the handheld part and you tap a corner of the plank and then the opposite corner on the other end of the plank, and it puts that size into the game. And then you get in an elevator and go 90 stories up over a city and walk out on the plank. And I took off my socks and did it with bare feet. Yeah. So I could feel the plank. And let me tell you, even though the game, didn't look like, it wasn't, it's a low res, game just meant to try out the gear. Having my feet touching a real plank that I could feel and feeling the edges of it and hearing the wind and looking down, I was friggin' terrified. And then for our arachnophobia in video games friends, they have one called Spider Cake. And what they do is they put a cake out on the end of the plank, and when you get to it and pick up the cake, a spider jumps out. and then you fall. But then he turned on Beat Saber and he goes, and I know you're a Rock Band fan, so why didn't wait until you try Beat Saber? And it was everything I could have ever wanted it to be. Because I'm playing and he goes, no, Chris, move. And I go, what do you mean move? He goes, see that wall coming up, move. And I'm like, I still have to play and move out of the way of the wall? This is great. It was just a fantastic game.
A lot of the tracks, like I was already sweating. Like
Yeah.
I put on the VR headset with all intention of loading this up and trying it out today to see what it was like. But yeah, I'll have to report back on that one.
It's just a great game, and it's one of those things like I can be taken in by a good gimmick, and that gimmick works. I want to play I haven't played a real VR game yet. You know, Beat Saber Beat Saber is a great game, but I'm talking like, you know, I guess there's games you can play that are like full on games. I think Half-Life just came out with them, right?
Yeah,
Alex just came out
supposed to be
Yeah.
groundbreaking, right? It's
So, you know what? I just thought of something. So we were talking about Harmonix last time we got together. So they actually have a rhythm game in VR called Automata.
Hey.
Yeah, and you have two guns, and you're like shooting things to a rhythm. Yeah,
I want it. I want it now. I want it in my eyes. Hey, so speaking of technology that never went anywhere, because I'm really happy that VR is finally back and seems to be sticking around, because so many people have tried VR and failed.
Yeah.
I'm talking to you, Nintendo. Do you remember, or did you see that for a short period of time when 3D TVs first came out, that Sony had this amazing idea? They made a TV where the 3D worked so you could change the stereoscopic to be one set of glasses, both of you looking at the same screen, but you get a full screen of one player and the other guy gets full. Did that take off? Did it just die?
It did.
Why not? That is the best freaking idea I've ever heard.
Absolutely. I tried the demo. They had it at the Best Buy, and I was blown away by it. It was perfect.
Like, it didn't just work; it worked perfect.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and then but it only like they put out Sony branded like PlayStation TVs, and with the glasses as a set, and that's kind of where it died. It never really went beyond that.
Such a bummer.
Just a couple years too early.
Yeah. I think it'll come back. That'll make its way back, especially if they find a way to do like 4 stereoscopic lenses, and then you can do like 4 people. You can do GoldenEye local, but with one TV.
Yep.
That would be unreal.
Yep.
So our last bit of news is some Cyberpunk 2077. Yeah, I'm anxiously waiting to try this, but there's not going to be a next gen version available when the PS5 and the new PS5 and Xbox launch. Yeah. It's gonna come out like with the updated graphics later. So, but if you read in the article, CD Projekt Red is still standing by that. Like, if you buy a copy for your Xbox One, you're just going to be able to take that copy to your Series X, and all future upgrades are included.
Oh, good for them. That's the right way to do it. That's the right way to do it.
It's not happening on the PlayStation, or there hasn't been any talk of it yet.
Oh, so, really?
Yeah.
That's a great looking game. I want to play that game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I again anxiously awaiting. Hopefully it doesn't get delayed.
Yeah. Bad time with the human malware for stuff getting delayed. So.
Yeah.
So, Rob, we'll go to you first.
Sure.
What you been playing this week?
Well, we were talking about Google Stadia earlier, and so I renewed my 2 months there, just to see what the new games are that came out since then. And it's not a new game, obviously, but it's a game called SteamWorld Dig 2.
Ooh, yes.
And man, I'm trying to think of a good way to describe this game. It is a Metroidvania, but you're robots, and a good chunk of the game is digging, like you're mining. And it is. Have you guys both tried it out, or?
I haven't
No,
tried 2 yet, but
I'm looking at it right now.
I played the crap out of 1.
It is amazing. Like it
Yeah.
is. I've put, even having, I have limited video gaming timing because I've got kids, and they're all home because, everyone's kids is home. Kids is home. Yeah.
That's the right way to say it.
It works. It works. Yeah.
Hey, is this the game that like the first one and the second one are very different in like what the game is?
No, I think they're pretty similar. What the second
Okay,
one
I wasn't
does.
sure.
Yeah.
I had heard of a game with a similar title, and someone was like,
yeah. SteamWorld does that. They have SteamWorld has different games that are all
That-
different kinds of genres.
That's what it is. Okay, just making sure. This is the one I heard though. Okay, cool.
You bet. And it's you're kind of taking off like you're one of the robots. You're not the hero from the first one. The hero from the first one's gone missing. So you're kind of dealing with trying to find him and learning all sorts of lore about. It's amazing and like Metroidvania is the best way to put it. Yeah, and like the pixel art is fantastic. It's and like I said, right now you can play it on Stadia, for 2 months for free, and I would heartily recommend it. It's a fantastic game. Like I'm having a blast with it. So,
SteamWorld Heist is probably the other one you heard, and it's a turn-based like XCOM kind of 2D side-scrolling turn-based action game. Completely still in that universe, but a completely different game.
I love it.
Yeah. Sorry, Rob, I derailed you there.
No worries. Just anyone who's listening, like, sign up for Stadia. It's free video games for a while. There's lots of ones you get for like you'll get free with the 2 months. Give it a try. It's a fantastic game, especially if you're big into the Metroidvania genre. So
that's me.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah, absolutely.
And then the other one, I was so excited about Rogue Legacy 2 coming out, the news about that I got back I blew the dust off my PlayStation Vita.
Nice.
And I've been playing Rogue Legacy through again, and it's just as good as I remember. It's a fantastic game. Like, it really defined that genre of the roguelites for a reason, because it was a very well-made game that knew what it was doing and did it really well. So getting back into that again. I don't think I need to describe Rogue Legacy to anyone, but if it is, it's a whole genre of games now, but you play a knight who gets killed, spoilers, trying to defend. There's a quest, I can't remember exactly what it was, but each time you die in this game, you keep skills and things that you've learned and plans, but you play as one of 3 descendants of that character that died, and they all have different traits. Some are colorblind, some are vertigo, some have what they call tunnel vision, so the map zooms in. There's dyslexic, there's all sorts of hundreds of traits, and it just makes the game delightful. And it's you can probably buy it for a nickel. It plays on everything from Vita to the the PC. I think it's on every generation, every console this generation, and probably one back as well. So yeah, Rogue Legacy Vita. That's my second game.
Awesome.
And I'll,
yeah. So Chris, what have you been up to this week?
So I kind of jump in and out of things again with the million podcasts and with the children, but I just saw that I love the Jackbox games. I know that's not, there's nothing hardcore about that whatsoever, but I love the Jackbox games, and I had a bunch of them on my Fire Stick, but I had heard from a friend that you can, play them over Discord by sharing your screen, and had never thought of this. And with all of us being stuck in our houses, I decided to try to do it, and now I've done it almost every night.
Awesome.
And I just bought Party Pack 3 again, but for Steam, so that's got Trivia Murder Party and Quiplash 2 and Guespionage and TKO. They're a lot of fun. And so with my group of friends around here that all like live within a stone's throw of my house, we've been able to get together and play. And that's what we used to do when we got together for parties, because you can do it with the kids around, because the stuff that's, in any of those games, anything bad that's on the screen is written, and my daughter can't read yet. So, it's one of those things where it's like, it's not like playing Cards Against Humanity where you're saying vulgar things, while you're playing it. So that's kind of fun for me. But also, it's just good to get everybody back together, right? So I know that maybe I'm hoping Jackbox is happy that people play it together without all having to all own a copy of the game. I think that's the point. But it's still amazing that they don't have something built in to just do that. But Discord works just fine. So I've been having a lot of fun with that. My daughter, as I said on the episode of my show you were on, is obsessed with Untitled Goose Game. And I am obsessed with Untitled Goose Game. So any chance I get to play Untitled Goose Game is a good one. And so we play that.
You're among friends here.
Yes. It's just a wonderful game. It's very relaxing. It's like a laid-back version of Katamari Damacy. It's that level of like, what if we did this?
Mm-hmm.
And then I've been playing, because I hate myself, I've been playing Getting Over It with Bennett Foddy. Have you guys heard of this game?
That's like going from the most chill game to the most banging your head on the monitor game.
Do you both know what it is?
I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Okay. So I wish I had done a link. So Getting Over It with Bennett Foddy, it seems like a tech demo gone wrong, or like a dare that somebody gave. But like you're a I would assume a fully naked, but at least half naked guy who appears out of a cauldron holding a climbing axe. And you take this climbing axe, and your mouse control is to rotate and move in and out this climbing axe. And it's a 2D game, and you have to basically use surprisingly great physics, even though they're mean physics that hate you, propel yourself over hurdles and stuff to get through the course.
Oh, man.
Well, Bennett Foddy, I guess, is supposedly the guy, is giving you like life lessons while you do it that are really mean-spirited and just get you angry. If you played this with a controller, the controller would be broken 5 minutes into it. It is a riot. My buddy at work, who's I think he just turned 20. Oh God, wow. So yeah, my buddy, he had told me, I hate this game, so I decided to buy it for you for Christmas. Enjoy. Because he wanted me to feel his pain. And I actually quite enjoy it. It's a puzzle game, I guess. It's it falls into the category of so difficult it's mean, but in like a you want to boot it up and show it to your friends kind of way. Like, look at how stupid this game is. And I love it. I love it. So I boot that up every once in a while just to see how far I can get, and I can't get far at all.
I see some images here of it, and yeah, it looks ridiculous.
I would highly recommend looking up Donkey, I think his name is. He's a YouTube video. His review of it is great because he just live stream of consciousness reacts to himself playing it, and he gets so angry. He's like, this game is stupid. Like, trying to do it. It's just not. He goes, why don't the controls work? And to make it even worse, I try to play it with the touchpad on my Surface, which makes it even harder.
Oh my God.
Can't imagine.
And then because it released yesterday here, I'm assuming that's worldwide, the 35-hour, what used to be the first like hour and a half of the game of Final Fantasy VII Reboot just came out. And I watched a friend of mine basically break down into nostalgic childhood tears while playing it last night. And it was a joy. It did the same thing to me. It just, I don't know if you guys have played it.
Yep.
It's perfect. It's just perfect.
Awesome.
It's one of those things, it's, remaking a game and making it better. I'm not going to say Final Fantasy VII is a great game, but adding to the mythos and filling in, and it reminded me of like, seeing a movie like Force Awakens in the theater for the first time and going, yay, they've made a love letter for me and I'm so happy. Because that's all that movie is. It's just love. We love you. Come back. Here's Star Wars. Have a nice day. And that's how this Final Fantasy thing feels. It's just wonderful.
Oh, it's great.
That's what I'm doing right now.
Okay.
On top of, I'm sure, any number of other games on the Switch that I'm not thinking of right now.
So yeah, being a console snob and like sticking to Nintendo and to my guns for so long, I really missed out on a lot of PS1 and PS2 games, and that's Final Fantasy VII's one of them.
Yeah.
So me, I got to play a few things this week. I finished the campaign on Division 2, which
Oh, you did, eh?
I did.
Right on.
I did. So I finished it and promptly uninstalled it because it's 119 gigs or something on my hard drive. Yeah. So, but it was like at the 81-hour count.
Damn.
Yeah. So that was a good few weeks. I enjoyed it. Maybe if the expansion goes on sale, I'll pick her up at the Warlords of New York. But I've experienced it. I'm good. But speaking of experiences, I finally played Nier Automata this week. It showed up on Game Pass, and wowza. That's all I can really say about that game. Like, you're doing, 1 minute you're, in the opening minutes of the game you're flying, and it's like a straightforward shoot 'em up, and then suddenly turns into a 360 shoot 'em up, and then 2 seconds later you're on the ground and it's a hack and slash, and the camera's zooming in and out, and it's going from 3D to 2D, and yeah, but it's also smooth and like it's not jarring, and put a little more time into it today. It slowed down a lot. It became a real RPG with like quests and everything.
Okay.
So
Interesting.
yeah.
Oh, this game is gorgeous too.
Yeah.
Yep.
I've been wanting to play this, and it's one of those games that never goes on sale. And a couple times when the physical copies have been on sale, something's always come up where, I'm on my way to like EB Games to go pick it up, and I can't make it for whatever reason. So I'm just happy to finally get to try it, and the wait has been well worth it. I'm sure I'll be gushing about this for the next couple weeks. So
nice.
Great.
As I also mentioned earlier, with the Exosuit update, I've put some time into No Man's Sky again, and that addiction's full on. Hey, I got nothing but time right now, just like everyone else. So, and I was goofing around on the PC playing Masters of Orion again. Just a little comfort food game. That's definitely my comfort food game. And I remember that Lemmings is actually on the Microsoft Store for free. And so I loaded that up and played, the first 10 levels of that. I just love that game. I just love it so much.
Is it like a remastered version of Lemmings, or is it like the original DOS looking?
Halfway between.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That game is evergreen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was so excited when a version showed up on the iOS and Android about a year ago, and it's garbage.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a pay to play, wasn't it? Or
yeah. So
they borked that.
They really did. And no, Rob, I have not played Fallout 76.
No.
Still not gonna do it.
Someday, Ryan, we're gonna get you into
that. All right, I think that covers what we've been playing. So we do a weekly poll, Chris, and we had one of our site contributors, Damon Harris, put up. I got him to put up this week's, and he had a vote. He asked us to vote on what is the best controller ever made.
Ooh.
And we had a tie for first, and pretty much a tie for second. Wow. Yeah. The two on top there were the Xbox One Elite and the good old-fashioned Nintendo controller, the old NES controller. That's what.
I can't argue with this.
Yeah. Would you the
Wow.
is that where your vote would be, or?
Very close. Yeah, I mean, as I said when we recorded our show, I don't think there will never be a controller as intuitive as the Nintendo controller because it was the first one really to be laid out the way that it was laid out.
Yeah.
And then the Super Nintendo controller, you know, it makes sense that it is getting voted the same as the DualShock and the Nintendo Switch Pro controller because it kind of set the standard for button layout for the rest of them. But Xbox really, maybe a DualShock I would put a little bit higher just because it's the first. I'd probably put more hours in with a DualShock in my hand than I have with an Xbox controller, but Xbox's controller just feels good.
Yeah.
And that's why it's great to see Sony's new controller kind of having more chunk to it, I guess. I don't know if that's the right word for it, but just more ergonomic.
Yeah.
So yeah,
People really like that Elite.
This
They
makes
really like
sense.
that Elite.
This makes sense.
And one pity vote for the N64 Oh, that was you, Ryan.
Oh, let me see the rest of the options. I wish I had known this was. I'm on this forum, and I wish I had seen this. Oh yeah, we remote with Nunchuck, GameCube Wavebird. Wavebird was the gold standard for a while.
Yeah, it was revolutionary. That's for sure.
The Duke original Xbox controller.
I was such a nerd at the time, and like I was so amazed by the Wavebird controller that it wasn't like an IR controller.
Yeah.
And I used to demo for my friends. I was living with my roommate at the time, and our TV was on the main floor, and we lived in a townhouse. And I would go upstairs, and I'd yell down, I'm like, watch how I can move stuff around from up here.
Yep.
And
so cool. I remember that.
They didn't get the amazement of it, but I did, and that's what was important.
I'm really surprised though that again, Sony the DualShock 2 was a great controller, but it had that dumb button sensitivity thing that they really hadn't perfected yet.
Yeah.
But I'm really surprised now. Is the Joy-Con the best controller ever? No, but it works. And that's the thing. Like, I remember spending so much time with the damn nunchuck and Wii remote trying to get it to sync and everything.
Oh,
the Joy-Cons just work. And okay, so the Switch basically works best when you're holding it as a portable system. True, or putting the Joy-Cons into a thing to make it feel like a Xbox controller. True, but they work. But yeah, having no votes for the Genesis controller can just go pound sand somewhere. So many great games, such a terrible controller.
Shots fired for the Genesis controller.
Yeah,
I love the Genesis. That controller. Try using it now. Try going back and using it now. Oh,
yeah, I had I bought one of the Genesis minis there.
I have one. It's cool.
It was hard. The 6 button was better, but yeah, it was not a Super Nintendo controller. Super Nintendo controller was night and day above it. So that's it. Yeah, I can get on board with that.
Super Nintendo controller was so good that the DualShock and the Xbox controller are basically Super Nintendo controllers with analog sticks.
Absolutely. Right. You bet. That's true. And then one pity vote for the Intellivision? I wonder if Ira actually meant that.
Yeah, he did.
It was revolutionary. Absolutely. The disc usually stopped working about a month after you bought it, if I remember right. But
yeah. Anyone I knew that had an Intellivision had backups.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So I completed your bag game challenge, the cheap bag game challenge today, Rob, and I posted that. Car Quest, and it was so bad. It was a Switch game. So we've this is our third week of doing it, Rob.
Oh no.
We find
Yeah.
these cheap games on the Switch store and we go back and forth challenging each other with it. I started off with Preventative Strike, which is oh my it
It's
you
the
know what
worst
it
shoot 'em up ever made.
yeah
It's
if you
really
see
bad.
it for a penny on the store there, just buy it to see how bad it is and then just erase it immediately because you'll never try it again.
Oh, I've seen it. I have not played it, but I have seen it. Oh
Yeah.
boy.
Oh, it is so bad. So I challenged Rob and then that we kind of born into this. So I took a page from your book, Rob, because I usually just go by the pictures and like see something bad. But I found a game. It's called Deadly Fighter 2.
Oh man.
Oh yeah,
Oh my.
Oh
yeah.
wow.
What is
And
happening
Okay.
there?
it's called Deadly Fighter 2, and it's 49 cents on the store right now. And I bought it and tried it,
Yeah.
and oh, you're gonna have some fun.
It's an immersive experience, is what you're saying? Is that
You're gonna have some fun.
okay?
How
Excellent.
long after pressing the button does the game react?
You're gonna have to watch a video to see.
Okay, excellent. That'll be this week. I get that up then.
Yep.
Oh, this is you,
Great.
you guys are awesome. Please
So,
let this not be the last time you invite me on here because I'm having a
Oh.
damn good time.
So this is where we usually start winding up the show, Chris. But are you good for time and stuff still, or?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
Okay. So Rob and I talk a lot about our gaming preferences and stuff we like. Do you have a game that you're like a sucker for, like a style of game that like no matter what type it is, you just got to try it? Like for an example, like for me, bridge building games, and
Oh,
and especially like on the Switch, I've bought like 6 of them, and like 4 of them have been horrible, but I'm compelled to buy these games.
yeah. I'm a sucker for anything similar to Contra,
Ooh.
Ah, yeah.
Metroidvania, or Mega Man. If they have that aesthetic to them, I will buy them or I will play them. I'm also a big fan of first person shooters with puzzle elements.
Ooh, okay.
That so like let's just say that Portal 1 and 2 were like, oh, where have you been my whole life? Because again, I fell into the first person shooter realm way sooner than my brother, and
Okay.
he still has a view about them that there's not the exception to the rule is a game like Half-Life. Not that there's a lot more games like Half-Life, which I know different. There's a lot of games like that. They're just not the ones that get pushed. There's no deep, box pushing segments in Call of Duty, for example. Um, but I've just always been a sucker for games that are like Untitled Goose Game type of games, the same kind of thing. If I hear that something is, just a small company made it, I'm very easily drawn in, like walking through a con and someone comes up to me and goes, "Hey, me and my buddy made this and we spent like 10 grand on it. Come check it out." I'm a sucker for that because I'd rather play a game with someone that I interacted with.
Oh yeah, okay.
Sure.
So if
Yeah.
I see someone come on a show like this and I hear that they made a game, I'm more, especially with how big of an access there is to them now. Yeah, okay, I know that Shovel Knight is great. I know that Cuphead is great. I also know that they're made by, pretty decent sizable amount of people and they're fantastic games and I love them. But if someone comes and goes, "Hey, I made a game like Cuphead and I made it for, 5 grand." Me and my buddy, I'm like, "Yes, I want to play that now." Like I don't even care how many bugs it has. I like knowing that there's bugs there because you
Yeah.
made it. You know, I find that kind of thing really cool. I'm also really into platformers because they're so lacking
Yeah.
these days. I loved when Beyond Good and Evil came out way back in the
Oh.
day when I went because it was just such a good mix of visual aesthetic of like an older type of game mixed with like, you know, the Uncharted kind of gameplay. Yeah, I mean, Uncharted, like, right? I should love the Uncharted games. They're fine, you know, the Indiana Jones thing and everything. But all I can do is look at them and go, "You made Crash Bandicoot and Jack and Daxter. I want those. Make me more of those." You know.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's I'm a sucker for games that feel like games.
Okay.
So
So
I like ultra realism, but I'm not a sucker for it.
okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. So before we get too far along, um, I reviewed or I bought a game last week that if you're a fan of Contra,
Mhm.
I can highly recommend it. It's called Mech Extermination Force.
I love the name.
Okay, so imagine Contra crossed with Shadows of the Colossus.
Uh, what?
Yeah,
Link, send Link when this is over. Link,
yeah,
Link,
it's on the Switch, and it's
Link,
from the you
mine,
ever see the
mine.
Gunman Clive games?
Yes.
Yeah, it's from the guys who made those. So it's Contra with nothing but boss fights.
No,
We can end the show right now if you got to.
it's fine. I played Shadow of the Colossus too much. That game, Ico and Shadow of the Colossus are just so important to me. I'm sorry. I just love those games so much.
Yeah.
Have you guys heard of a game called Freedom Finger?
Oh,
I
I've
don't
heard the
know.
title. I can't. It's is.
I would recommend looking it up. Now, it is not safe for work. But it looks like it is. That's what's funny. It's a vulgar, nasty little game. But you play a ship. It's like a Gradius game, but it's
Okay.
all like hand drawn. It kind of looks like Gradius if it was drawn by the people that did Yoshi's
Oh,
Island
wow.
2.
Okay. Yeah.
You know, and you play a finger doing this. It's a ship, and this blasts your weapons. And instead of you destroying ships and be getting their power up and being able to like do the spread fire or whatever, you reach out and grab the ship and then squeeze it to make it do its power, and you can punch. And the music's hysterical, and the game's really hard and a lot of fun. And I played it at PAX 2 years ago, and I just had to buy it on the Switch, and it's wonderful. If you like a good
Oh.
old fashioned side scrolling Gradius shooter kind of game.
Oh, it's
But
on the
it's
Switch.
yeah, it's on the Switch.
Oh, okay.
Well, I was so happy. It took them a year to get it out on the Switch, but it's on the Switch.
Okay.
Wow, this looks crazy. Nolan
It's
North's
fun.
in it. Wow. Okay.
It's fun with a capital F.
Great. Yeah.
So
Try that one out.
So okay, so that gives us a good idea of the type of games you like. Do you have a system that has like a special place in your heart that you just
Dreamcast.
yeah? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Give
the
me
one.
that. Okay.
They all do everything because the Xbox 360, unfortunately, even though it's a great system, is just that system that I play Rock Band on. That's so it's funny. Yes, the Dreamcast is the one that I went and said I need this, and the whole reason I said I needed this was two reasons: Soul Calibur and Crazy Taxi. I had to
Yeah.
have them,
Yeah.
Yes.
and I had to have them in my house, and I destroyed those games. But then there was Shenmue. And
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
there will even Shenmue 2, which was great, and Shenmue 3, which I've heard is very good. There's just something about the time in my life that Shenmue came out. I needed that game. And so the Dreamcast has just always been important to me, but the NES is important to me because I won one.
Oh,
Did
okay.
I tell you guys this story?
No, not at all.
So my brother got an NES in 1986. He was 5 years old and I was 2. And 2 years later, I was 4 years old, and my mother had entered our names into a contest at a local Star Market, which I don't know if that's a worldwide thing, but it's a grocery store.
Okay.
And they, had to like tie into the Nintendo. And my mom got a phone call and gave me the phone. I was 4, and I got on, and there was like a young kid clerk. Dude, you just won a Nintendo. And I was like, yeah, I want it. And so me and my brother were the only people I knew growing up that each had our own console.
Oh, that's
So that
cool.
was really cool, and it's because I won one, right? And I won. He won the 2 controller with the blaster, version of it. I won the single console with the one, remote whatever, because he already had all the games.
Sure.
But then the Super Nintendo he got, and me and him would rent games and just beat them together, once a week. So that had a really special place in my heart. But for my personal usage, the first console I ever owned that was just mine was my PlayStation 1 and Final Fantasy 7. I got Final Fantasy 7 and Oddworld. And you ever play Oddworld?
Yes,
Yeah,
you bet.
yeah.
Oddworld was so good. And the reason I ended up with Oddworld is when my mother bought the PlayStation, the guy said, what kind of games does your son like? And she talked about the kind of stuff I was in. He said, no one knows about this game. He will love it. And he was right. But what was crazy is my mom, we used to go to my grandmother's house the night before Christmas and get a few gifts that were from my grandmother, but they were just gifts that my mother would give to us that night. So my grandmother could feel like she gave, all the kids gifts. It was really sweet. We all got together. Yeah. And so my mom, not even thinking, just wrapped a bunch of gifts and brought one, but I got Oddworld, but had no PlayStation. So I kind of blew that I was going to get a PlayStation the next day. But I opened that package and learned the whole manual. I looked at, think about like when you're younger and you just get something physical and like, it's like up on my shelf and I'm like looking at it. And so even though I got a PlayStation and Final Fantasy 7 the next morning, I spent the whole day playing Oddworld because I just like absorbed it. That game was so hard. Oh my God. I beat it. It was quite a time. But then
Awesome.
the Dreamcast was my unprovoked I need this, and that one has always remained. Although PlayStation 2 was an interesting one because my brother worked for Suncoast Video. Did you guys have Suncoast in Canada?
No.
So Suncoast Video was. Did you have like Strawberries or Sam Goody? No, nope. they're like music stores / video stores, but they were in malls, like tiny little.
Okay. Yeah.
FY. They all became like FYEs and GameStops, like after a while. But anyway, so he worked for Suncoast, and Suncoast was doing this thing where they started getting games in, and no one knew this was happening. And my brother said, "Hey, we got a box in of inventory we weren't supposed to have," and this was 2 weeks after PlayStation 2 came out, and no one had it. He goes, We have 2 PlayStation 2s in the back room. We didn't advertise it. They're not pre-ordered. He goes, I bought you one.
Oh, wow.
That's awesome. I had a PlayStation 2 and SSX, which let me tell you, there has not been a more magical time. I don't know what it is about. It's something about the color palette and the contrast in SSX. Yeah. There's still very few games that looked quite like that game in motion.
Yeah.
There's just something about the way it moved.
Tricky is like, it's so unreal, that game. Yeah. And I was really disappointed when they went away from that whole like colorful world. Like the one that came out last gen, the SSX, man.
Yeah.
It was all right.
It plays very well, but it didn't have the same.
Not even close.
Yeah, Tricky is one of my top 5 games needs a reboot, like a remaster, like a good next gen. Such a good game and just so groundbreaking. Yeah.
I can hear that song in my head right now.
Yeah. Run DMC.
Yep, yes, sir.
Tricky. So you rock around too. Sorry.
So what is there anything that makes you you're hanging out with grumpy old gamers here. Is there anything that makes you grumpy in gaming? Today or just in general?
I'll say there were things that made me grumpy in gaming recently, but maybe in the prior generation. I think the Switch has kind of done a lot to like turn the grumpy down. And I think other consoles have kind of taken um, stride from that. And it's not just the Switch; it's just the online indie game market in general. But I mentioned this before when we talked, but I felt like games became too single player, and I don't mean that in a I love single player games, and I'm glad we're going back to having more single player games and not just games you log in online and there's no story and whatever
Mhm.
else. What I mean is, I think for a long time, games became it's like very narcissistic. It's very like, I'm going to sit here and be on my own, and the only interaction I have with you is nasty because I want to be better and make you look like a fool.
Mm,
And instead of the being in an arcade and watching your buddy do well in a game and cheering him on. And I think a lot of I've seen now is games are moving back into that world. The idea that, no, I want to be excited for how good you are. Let's Plays have done this. Twitch has
Mhm.
done this, where you can watch somebody play and cheer them on and want to see them do well rather than want to shun them because they're not as good at it as you. And I don't know when it changed, but I'm happy that it's changing. And
yeah.
so that did make me grumpy for a bit. And I don't want to blame a single game because I don't think there is a single game to blame. But it's just kind of it was a very cynical approach to gaming. And gaming's supposed to be an all-inclusive, everybody's welcome thing, not some kind of gatekeeping entity to keep people out. And so, the fact that you guys have talked about games that would have fallen into that category before, games like Destiny, No Man's Sky, that easily could have been games that fell into that category, but instead people are playing and recording them and their friends like doing well in it together
Mhm.
instead
Yeah.
of and I think that's awesome. And so that's grumpy into not grumpy, right?
That's perfect. That's perfect. Well, I think that's all I had. Do you want to tell everyone where they can find more of your stuff there, Chris?
So, first of all, listen to this show because I'm on here now, and I plan on being on here again. I think
Absolutely,
I
no
think
doubt.
Yeah.
I think shortly after this show releases, you'll be able to hear these guys on my show. So go find me. I do 4 podcasts and other things because I'm crazy. I do the aforementioned Chipman Brothers Tangent with my brother Movie Bob, who, if you've never heard of before, I'm surprised, but that's only because he's more well known than me. He's in Boston area, film critic slash video game commentator. He went as the game overthinker for a while, doing video game shows. He's notorious for his 3 million view review of Pixels, the Adam Sandler movie, where he crapped on that movie so bad that the New Yorker actually covered it and wrote line for line some of the things my brother said, and I can't believe the New Yorker published these words. You have to see it to believe it. He was also a member of the Escapist when they existed the first time. And, so that's the Chipman Brothers Tangent. He's actually back on there now, but that's the Chipman Brothers Tangent. It's me and my brother. There's also Shooting the Breeze with
Thank
Chippa,
you.
but we use another word, which you guys were actually on. That'll be the show. That's my show. It's just like the Tangent, but I have guests that aren't my brother on. It's basically a late night interview kind of thing, more like this, just casual fun. The Talkbuster podcast, which is I think my favorite of my shows, only because it comes from a world that no one really knows of anymore. It comes from the world of video game and movie rental and retail, through video stores. And I started it as an idea. I used to work at a Blockbuster, and I said, wouldn't it be funny if I made like a joke, like story series, of things that happened, and realized that'd be too hard to write and I didn't have time. So I'm just going to interview my friends that I used to work with. And it grew into, people from Hollywood Video and Movie Gallery and Suncoast and Best Buy and Disney World and, all these people that kind of had a connection but not exact. And it's turned into this whole other thing, and people love it. So I love that show. And then there's Creating Geeks, which is my most unique show. That's me and my wife talking about stuff from our childhood that we want to share with our kids, and if it's okay to share with your kids. And
Oh,
like that parent and kid connection. We actually have recently started having guests on that show we had a guy kind of a similar approach. He runs a thing called Engaged Family Gaming, which is all about gaming with your kids. But it's like a whole channel. You guys should check him out because I think you'd get along with him just as well as me. He's on Facebook, but we had him on. We've had Eric Vespi, who used to write for Ain't It Cool News back in the day, on to talk about his holiday gift guide, his geek holiday gift guide, which he does every year, which I think is amazing. We've had Gina Rock on, who was the original, not the original, but the Flying Tinkerbell from 1983 to 2005 at Disneyland. And she ran away with the circus at 17 and then fell into that and now works for FEMA, like doing like disaster relief. This lady's insane. And it's just going to grow from there. Again, that's the hardest one to do because it requires me and my wife to both be awake and have time from the kids. But that's been a fun show too. I also do a show called Hopped Ones. That's more of a patron exclusive thing. It's a video show. You ever heard of Hot Ones, the spicy wing show?
You bet.
Mm-hmm.
It's that show, but with beer. It's an homage to that. I get 10 beers that are evil or nasty or weird, and me and a guest. What's cool about it is, as you know, like you guys are, we can talk forever, right? I put on a timer for 5 minutes, and we have to finish the little sample of beer and finish our topic and change topics every 5 minutes.
Okay,
so it works out pretty good. That one's been fun. There's only 2 episodes up for people to look at, but Hopped Ones, I love it. It's the hardest thing to produce. And I also have movies that I've made with my friends up on my YouTube channel, Chris Chipman, the Chippa. And I have other things coming because I'm crazy.
You are a busy, busy man.
Yes.
No kidding.
We have enough trouble getting together to do this once a week. So, well, thank you so much for being on, Chris. It's been a pleasure. And, if you're interested, every month and a half, we'd love to have you.
That'd be great. Let's keep that a rolling invite, and same thing over on my end. Let's try to do this more often. Just keep the email open, and I'll send you my cell phone number too, and we'll just stay in touch.
Sounds good, man. All right. Well, if you ain't got nothing left there, Chris, Rob, you got anything? Or
nope.
No. All right.
All good.
Well, thank you, everyone. This has been a double long episode. But it's been super entertaining, and we're the Grumpy Old Gamers. You can find all of our original content at thegrumpyoldgamers.com, and we're on Facebook as the Grumpy Old Gamers, and just look us up on YouTube. Either the show You Can't Teach an Old Gamer New Tricks or the Grumpy Old Gamers. You'll find us there. And other than that, hope everyone has an excellent Easter, and have a good night, everybody.
Take care.
See you.
Bye-bye.